Hey, Roger. Well, where is everybody? Sorry, I'm just waiting for people to start showing up. I changed the tempo. I changed it to 119 from 120. And the reason is because I thought, well, maybe if these bots are hunting for songs, they won't have them at every tempo. But my suspicion is that they're writing these random melodies and then registering these songs in like 50 different tempos and then going out. It's just crazy. I'll see if I can find that. Yeah, lunchtime. Guitar learning time. Let's see. What was it? Oh, no, I think I did it on Safari. Hold on a second. It was like Musirk. Actually, I think it was Musirk. Yeah. So here's the. I'll give you the link here. It's just it's almost like they're bragging about stealing royalties, in my opinion. Now, if they have, let's see, who do they represent? You know, it's. I mean, I just think that they are. I'm not sure where they're located. I'm just assuming based on the name that they're probably a German company. And I've gotten hit up by these kind of companies because of my songs I have out. 34 billion monetized interactions. 89 million videos claimed. See, that's the key word there, claimed. They're claiming my videos. Or, you know, in this case, one of my videos. And it may be more than one. I can't remember. I've fought more than one of these copyright. I've fought every one of them so far because these are original songs. You know, the only one I didn't fight, I think I told you about this, was like, I literally uploaded a piece that I wrote on classical guitar in like 2001. I wrote the piece, I performed it, I recorded it. It never was released. And I uploaded, I needed content. I was kind of, didn't have any ideas for videos, but I wanted to try to keep content consistently going up on YouTube. So I thought, oh, well, I'll just do like a little slideshow of, you know, like some Paris slides or something that I took when we were in Paris or something. And I'll put these, you know, put it over the music. Upload the music, and like, I got a copyright claim on a song that I mean, it was a piece like, you know, it was like. classical guitar piece, and it was completely 100% original. Never, and I got a copyright claim, and I clicked on to claim it, and it was my friend's. It was my friend's library company, and I forgot that I gave him those pieces to put in his library so he could have a bigger library. You know, he didn't have anything like that. I was helping him out, and the stupid thing was, you know, so consequently on those placements I gave him, he got publishing, which is standard in the business. Okay, when I have music on Discovery, the either Discovery or the production company or 50-50 split between them, they get the publishing and I get the writers. And in fact, I split it with another guy because we're working together on it. And those are, that's pretty standard operating procedure. So my friend took 100% of the publishing because he was the one getting the placements, okay? But he also wanted 1% of the writers, so we had to re-register the song with 99% writers for me and 1% for him, which was weird. And he wanted to be able to say that he wrote it or something. So I don't know, for his clients they want. Did you write this? Yes, I wrote it. I have writers on it. He could say I have writers on it. Hi Tom, your favorite mate to dislike here. Do I dislike you? I don't do it. Morning, Dennis. David Sillers, good to see you. What global rights management mean? Basically, it's you know, the whole copyright thing. People, to be able to use your music, they have to pay somebody, and so these people kind of go out and collect monies. And maybe find it. There's so many. I mean, when Kelly and I uploaded a couple songs for on CD Baby, we went ahead and opted. I think we did one where we went like the basic, and one we did the pro, just to see what the different royalty rate. You know, if it would come in more royalties. But I think in the process they said something like, and it may be for both basic and pro, there were something like 200 different streaming organizations that they upload to. And if I log into the CD Baby account, I can see the royalties paid. And it's literally every day Apple is paying something. It may be, you know, like 0.0002334 pennies, you know, like a fraction of a penny. But it's literally somebody's making a deposit every day in that account, and then we have it set to something like $100, and they'll cut her a check, you know. So probably a hurdy-gurdy. If Trump played a guitar, what kind of guitar would he play? Let's see, what would he play? I mean, he might play a Frankenstrat, you know. He's, you know, you're talking about a reality show host, right? Bombastic, right? Being president's the ultimate reality show. You know, it wouldn't be anything highbrow like a classical guitar. It would be something city. He's grew up in Queens or the Bronx. I mean, I know people from the Bronx. He totally reminds me of people I know from the Bronx. You know, they don't hold anything back. I mean, nothing. They tell you exactly what they think. I mean, that's what he grew up doing, I'm sure. Yes, John, that's exactly what's happening. And so I don't like that. Well, obviously, but I mean, I don't mind not making money on something, but I don't want somebody to make, you know, because I don't make a lot of money on these videos. Okay, on these live streams, I can tell you exactly how much money I make on an average live stream, and you'll be shocked. You'll be like, well, why are you doing this? It's therapeutic for me. I won't be able to go as long today because I've got a session that I've got to kind of do some work on. A lot of but I'm actually have to go in the studio and do it, which I'm bummed. I told you they reached out to me Tuesday night and said they wanted me to get a COVID test, and I was like, no. Let's see. Okay, so let me look at one that has maybe the most spins here. Here's one from a week ago that has 574 spins. Monetization. Oh, no, analytics. Analytics. Revenue. Oh, well, more than I thought. I made $4.23 off of it. That's not bad. That's almost a penny a spin. That's pretty good, actually. So, thank you for my $4. Now, if I go back, let's see. And I try to be pretty upfront about this stuff with the YouTube stuff. You know, here's one that's got 723 views. Let's see what that one's made me. See, this is weird because this one's only made me $1.52. Isn't that interesting? So one that's got more spins made me less money. Oh, wait. Oh, it's because people gave me money that day, I think. Hold on. So let me pull up one, because my nephew logged in and gave me coin, remember? Because I knew it was, I didn't think it was very high. Well, no, this one says 335. For how many views? 296. What? Really? 296. No, it's more views than that. It says 567 here. I don't understand. I mean, I like teaching. I don't really miss teaching privately. Okay, here's another one. Analytics, 579. So not bad. I mean, more than I thought. If I go way back, because, you know, some of the early ones may potentially have a lot more spins. I mean, at some point, I do want to do a video for my the business of making music about YouTube. Oh, here's one that's got 15 chord progressions. It's got 15 comments. That's crazy. 900. So yeah, the older ones do tend to kind of get up there, you know. Although I think I was getting more spins early on in the COVID thing. I go back to 54. It got 1,000, 1,200. So here's one that's got 1,200 spins of the live streams that we're doing. Okay, let's see what that one's. The analytics on that. But that one's only paid $2.72. And it's only gotten one view in the last 48 hours. So the chances of it really generating any more revenue is pretty slim. So anyway, it adds up. I mean, it is, music business is a numbers game. And, you know, when I was getting music on Let's Make a Deal, I think I was making $500 a day. At one point, it was like crazy because it was network, and it was, you know, and we owned the publishing. That was crazy. When I first started writing music for Let's Make a Deal, they were in such a bind for music because they hated the music on the show that my friend who worked on the show and I wrote a bunch of songs and we got it on the show and we managed to keep the publishing. And you know, it was a slow burn. I mean, the first royalty was like $1,200 or something for the first 3 months, and then, but then it kept growing and growing and growing. Maybe not 500 a day, but at least, you know, at least $200-300 a day. I think I was making. I'm trying to think of royal, yeah, because of $500 a day would have been 10 grand a month. I don't think I ever made 10 grand a month off that show. But yeah, but I mean, when you're on network TV 5 days a week on an hour-long show, that's wall-to-wall music. And we weren't even a majority of the music. We were just a small percentage. The people that had the majority of the music were making bank. $20 to discuss Roadmaster Sweet Music chord change. That is pretty interesting. Let's see. Oh, cool. Oh, Phil Collins. Aquatunes, are you in Switzerland? Oh, Phil Collins. Oh, not Collins. I'm thinking Phil Collins. Sweet music. So I was going to say, if you're in Switzerland and you're a Roadmaster fan, I'm assuming Phil Collins, I'm sorry, pardon my ignorance, but I'm assuming Phil Collins is a member of Def Leppard. So if you don't know, Roadmaster was like when I was in high school in Indiana, they were the big rock band. They were bigger than Mellencamp because Mellencamp wasn't Mellencamp yet. He was Johnny Cougar, and even then he wasn't anybody yet. And Roadmaster did a record for Village Records, which was kind of an Indianapolis label, and they got picked up. Them and the Faith Band got picked up by. Hey, Morocco is in the house. That's awesome. I'm so glad. I want to go to Morocco. I'd probably do like a 2-day trip to Morocco. I wouldn't do like a 10-day trip to Morocco because I think you can get to Morocco like from southern France, right? It's really close, or southern Spain. It's like on the other side of Gibraltar, is it not? I mean, my geography's pretty good, but I'm trying to remember. But pictures I've seen of it frickin' look amazing. But so this band Roadmaster, they got signed by I want to say Epic, but it wasn't Epic. Mercury Records, I think. And they think they toured with Rush a little bit in the Midwest. And Roadmaster did a lot of shows in Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, maybe Ohio and Kentucky. You know, they kind of hit that whole 5-state area around, the 4 states around Indiana. Steve McNally, great singer, beautiful voice. He died young of cancer. I think he was in his late 30s. I told you about the story about, sorry, I'm not talking about soloing, am I? I told you about the story about working in that record store with his girlfriend. The owner of the record store hired me to work from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. The record store was called the Stone Balloon. This was the 70s. And they basically hired me to work the last 2 hours of the night so that Leslie wouldn't be alone in the store, and so that if somebody came in, it would be, she wouldn't feel scared. And they paid me an album an hour, which was actually, if I got an album at like a retail album, that would have been more than minimum wage. But Rick Bennick and I became very good friends. It was through kind of a mutual girlfriend that we became friends. Oh gosh, you kept your promise. Hilarious. And sweet music is sweet music, sweet music. I wish I could play it right now, the video, so I could tell you the chords, but I can't because I would get a copyright strike. Okay. But I will try to check it. I'm really busy this next few days, and I should be good for Monday. But let me see if I can get a listen to it on Monday. I wish I could call Rick and say, what are the chords? I could probably reach out to Michael Reed. We're Facebook friends, but Ricky died a couple of years ago of leukemia. Again, kind of like Eddie Van Halen, a lifetime smoker. And that one was I love to. When I'm on the phone, I tend to walk. I tend to pace, okay? The other day I was on the phone and I just went outside and started walking laps around my pool. I walked 3,500 steps in one conversation. And I was like, I looked at my step count and went, holy cow, I just did 3,500 steps. I love talking on the phone when I'm walking because it makes it not even feel like exercise. You know what I'm saying? So I was scrolling through my contacts and I was like getting depressed because I'm like, and I won't delete them. I'm just like, but there's Rick and there's my friend John Purvis who died, and it's like all these friends of mine that passed away like young, and I'm like, it just stinks, Getting old. I know. I remember when my step grandmother was really old. She was in her 90s, and she was really bummed because she didn't have any friends anymore. They were all gone. She was the last one standing, and everyone was young. And it's like I can. In fact, last night with dinner, I had dinner with some 20-year-olds after a video recording that we did, and I can hang, it's no problem. But what do you talk about sometimes? So, but Rick was a great guitar player. My favorite Rick Bennick lick, which I did a video of. Let me pull up a lead tone, and I love it. And here's the other thing. It's funny. I showed Rick. Speaking of. Let me go here. I showed Rick how about Well, I will, Octatones, I will come up with the changes on it. Although it's not, keep in mind, this Sweet Music, and you can look at, in fact, I'll pull up the YouTube so you guys can check it out. They were they weren't quite a prog band, but this song, of all their songs, was one of their more prog type songs. Okay, they were very similar to Journey, not Rush per se, but you can listen to the full album on. Oh, there's actually a video of them playing 12 years ago. Here's the and to say they were influential is to me is an understatement, because they were an actual rock band that I knew. They actually were in my everyday life. They were in my periphery. And then Rick and I became good friends, and we played tennis probably 5 days a week for years, until I moved to California, because he lived in an apartment building that had indoor courts. And because he was a rock star, the manager would let him into the courts before they were open. They weren't supposed to open till noon, but we could always get in at 10 and play 2 hours with no one else, not having to wait in line. He was a local hero. I remember another story. One of my favorite Rick stories was, remember when Rodney Dangerfield got famous, like really big, right? You know, like he started doing movies. Caddyshack came out. So now Rodney Dangerfield's touring around and doing like, not stadiums, but he's doing big arenas, kind of like Steve Martin did in the 70s also. So, but Rick was a huge Rodney Dangerfield fan. In fact, he did a great Rodney Dangerfield impersonation. And of course, because Rick is Rick and he's a local rock star guitar hero, he was the Indianapolis Eddie Van Halen. And so, but I was gonna say, I was the one that showed him. You know, I showed him how to do that. He didn't know about that. Like, he didn't know. And I showed him that because I was a guitar teacher back then, and we were different guitar players, very different guitar players. And so I would go see him at shows, and he'd start playing like that. He'd look over at me, and he'd kind of give me a wink and a nod, and he'd do the lick, and he'd like, you know, he would totally acknowledge to me that, you know, hey man, thanks for showing me this stuff. But he made it his own and did his own stuff. But so he was a really big Rodney Dangerfield fan. Yes, Styx. Yes, Styx is a definitely, you know, Ride in the Storm Out. Kind of Kevin Cronin and from what's Kevin Cronin's band? Kind of reminded me of Steve McNally. But any of the like 70s rock bands that were like from Chicago, Boston, maybe a little bit like Boston. REO Speedwagon, thank you, John. Yeah, you know, kind of like REO Speedwagon. I never liked Gary Richrath. Never liked him. I can't stand his playing. But anyway, my Rodney story. So the Rodney was doing a comedy concert at the tennis stadium in Indianapolis, and you know, tennis stadium probably held 15,000, 20,000 people, and Rodney was doing a show there, and so. The manager of the tennis, because Rick was really into tennis, the manager of the tennis stadium knew Rick. And so he got Rick to be the heckler. So Rick got free tickets to go to be the heckler for Rodney Dangerfield. And what they do is they give the heckler a bunch of things to yell out, right? And, you know, something like, your sister, or whatever, you know. Just stupid stuff, you know, hey, Rodney, get a real job, or whatever. And it was just... And it was hilarious because Rick couldn't do it without doing Rodney's voice. Like, he's watching Rodney on stage, and he's supposed to, at any moment, I think, yell out these heckles. And he was doing it in Rodney's voice, and Rodney was kind of like a little taken back by that. He was a little thrown off his game. And the comedians are not, that level of comedians, not often thrown off their game because they grow up doing it. But I thought that was pretty funny. Hey, Pepper's seen us live. But my favorite Rick Bennick lick is, I call it kind of a stutter lick. It's a little hard to do at first, but it's... And I went through their entire catalog trying to find a place where he played it. And I mean, I didn't listen to every song. I kind of tried to find the solos and stuff. I think I found it on one of their non-big songs. But it was pretty funny because I was thinking, this is my, like, the lick I think of when I think of Rick, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I'm like, did he only do it live? So what it is like he's hammering and pulling off. Like on the pentatonic one, really there's only 3 notes in this lick. It's the, if I'm in an A minor pentatonic, it's the 2nd string notes, the 5th fret and the 8th fret, right? Morning, your view mirror, and the blues note. And what he did was he would go, and I'm showing you this key so we can use it over the chord progression, because it'll work over this chord progression. So you hammer on, it's a triplet scale, a triplet lick. It's actually, you can play it 6 notes per beat. Da 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 da. 1 E and, let's see, how would you count that? Let's see, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 1 2 da 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 da. So 1 2 3 4 5 6, 1 2 3 4 5 6. You could count it that way, I guess. 1 2 3 4 5 6, 1 2 3 4 5 6, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Gary has so many different. Oh no, Gary's there. Oh, Gearview isn't Gary. I'm sorry. Gary, you've got 2 different. Oh, that's right. Guitar is my video game. That's yours. So that's 3 of the notes right there. So you can't do it like a grace note. It's got to be individual. And then he would get this note, and you can get it a couple different ways. You can bar with your pinky, you can bar with your 3rd, or you could get it with your 3rd and your pinky. But he's gonna. And then the next 3 notes are the blues note and the 7th note. So they're on the same fret. That's what makes it a little tricky. Okay, so you play the first half is this, and then the second half is this. And plucking wise, I might try to keep my pick inside the strings when I'm doing that. So I'm down, up, down, up. So let me see what it sounds like here. Let me pull up this. Windows all organized. It's a cool thing. Doesn't have to be the bluesy. You can go to the pentatonic. It just sounds a little bit more disjointed if you do it over the blues note. Just broke a string, which isn't good because I'm going to use the guitar today. All right, we get another guitar out. What am I going to play? And you can see I got the mute. This is for the session today. It's fine. I should probably change strings on this guitar anyway before tonight, or this afternoon. And I don't have Spurzels on here, so most of my guitars have, or my Strats have Spurzels on them, so it's fast, easy to change string. This guitar is pretty easy to change strings on, though. I'm going to leave this on here, though, because I got to do some two-handed Eddie stuff. Like I said, I showed that to Rick, and he used it in his big solo every night. I never played a telly. I'm not going to be using a telly, so I don't need to worry about breaking the string here. The session I'm doing today, like I said, is kind of an Eddie Van Halen session, which is ironic, sad. I'm reading on my Facebook page. I'm reading all these friends of mine that knew Eddie, or not usually. I had some friends that knew him, but that had stories about Eddie, because Eddie, you know, the Roadmaster, Van Halen all was in Pasadena, and that's where I lived for the last 35 years. And sorry, getting my windows organized here. Let's do this one. Well, not the best. Be there. Now, we've been talking a lot in the soloing, getting to the solo lesson at 33 minutes in. I keep talking about different forks in the road, right? And some of the forks in the road, I need to start enumerating these because I want to do a video on it. But are you going to write a guitar solo for your moment, or are you going to improvise? A lot of people, because they're not very good improvisers, choose to write something. Take some time, come up with something that's melodic or even classical at times. Some heavy metal. I guarantee a lot of the hairband big guitar solos were written. But then someone like Keith Richards would never do that. He would just do whatever. He would play Keith Richards licks, whatever those are. So. Yeah, I bet living in Morocco is tough to get guitars. But one of the other, one of the other forks in the road that I talked about is, are you going to play over the key, or are you going to play over each individual chord? If you're going to play over each individual chord, are you going to play over each individual chord, or are you going to play over the chord changes? I talked about that last time. Remember? I can. You can hear that chord progression in that solo right there. That solo was very, very chord-centric, but I tried to point out there's always a magic moment between two chords. What are the most obvious changes? Going from A minor to F is that going from you got the E and the A minor to go to the F. Okay? And that's a really, anything that's a leading tone, one fret or a minor second, anything that's a leading tone is a leading tone. It's going to lead you to that next thing. Right? And then the opposite's true. The difference between F and C, you've got the F going down to the E, which is the third of the C, so that you can really make that a feature of your phrase. And then you hear the C change, and then the same thing going from the C to the B, which is when you play a C chord, you go to G. There's a B, so you go from the C to the B, and those are the things you want to do to kind of make it a real smooth transition from one chord. And I call that playing over the change, not over the chord, over the change between the two chords. And then, but one of the other things you can do is, I think of Lindsey Buckingham, Go Your Own Way. No. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Doesn't he do like basically a one-note solo? He does one of those, real simple. So, that simple and complex, those could be another fork in the road. And that may be more of a stylistic choice, like you're a simple player versus a complex player. Rick Beato just did that video. How would... only Rick Beato could do this. How would Eddie Van Halen play? And this was released the day before this video. I'm sure many of you saw it. How would Eddie Van Halen play the solo of Stairway to Heaven? What would he have done? And then Eric Johnson. What would Eric Johnson have done? Well, he actually got Eric Johnson to do a solo on it, so we actually knew what Eric Johnson would have done. Eddie Van Halen was a guy that does a good Eddie Van Halen impersonation. That's a friend of Rick's, and so everybody's going to have a different approach. So your style as a guitar player is going to affect a lot of how you approach a solo. You may be a very simple player, or you may be somebody who really wants to utilize it. You want to utilize all the work you've put into practicing your scales. But sometimes it just sounds like you're doing that, you know. Most of the really great solos that people, the average Joe, can sing along with isn't one of those kind of... Yeah. It just not nobody's singing along with that. And it's, you know... there's a market for that, but the money-making market might not be. I don't know. You know, there's a lot of shredders. Actually, there's some really good shredder bands coming up now, and they're starting to, you know, up until COVID, they were starting to fill up some pretty big rooms. So I know prog is coming back. So. And probably because people are using YouTube to learn how to play guitar, and they're learning a lot more than they could have learned otherwise from one teacher. And so you've got all these young players that are coming up that are monsters. Alex played me a band the other day. I can't remember what it's called. I don't know if Alex is watching. He usually isn't. But a very simple thing. And so one of the things that we talked about on Wednesday was choosing one note and listening to it and see how it changes. The note sounds like it's changing, but it's not. It's just changing its relationship to the chord. So like if I play an E note over this progression and play it over all four of those chords, A minor, F, C, and G, that E is going to have a different relationship to the roots. So for example, this E is the fifth of the A. It's the major seventh of the F. So that's really interesting sounding. It's the third of the C. And it's the sixth of the G. Right? Here's a flutter. That's a major seventh. It creates a flutter because they're so close. So if I went up to F, flutter goes away. And then C, and G. Let's see. Somebody, am I getting a question here? Yeah, Eddie Van Halen passed away. He passed away a couple days ago. It's throat cancer, 65 years old, pretty young, but he was a bit heavy smoker. Okay, so let me hit play on this, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So F, C, that wants to resolve, but still, you can start on it. The jack is bad on this. Okay, so Acotones has. So I'm assuming Acotones is a eye doctor who plays guitar. Am I right? Okay. How important is resolving to the root note? Now, not necessarily important, but it's nice to do every now and then so that your audience knows you know that there is a root note. And the root key is C. So C is almost going to work on every chord except the G chord, and it's going to want to C's going to want to resolve, and it's going to want to resolve down, but you could also go up to D. So no matter where you are, if you hit a note that's bad, you could probably go down 1 fret or down 2 frets, or up 1 fret or up 2 frets, and within that range, 2 frets below and 2 frets above, you will find 2 notes that work if one note isn't working. So if I play this C and over the G chord, I'm creating this, it's just not working for you, then you can try go down a fret and see, oh, okay, that works, or go up a fret, no, oh yeah, that works. You know, so there's going to be a neighboring tone, is what we would call that. Okay, a neighboring tone would be a note that's either a half step or a whole step away either side. A chromatic neighboring tone would only be a half step away. Okay, so I could do something like over C with chromatic neighboring tones. So here's my C triad, right? And this would be more of a gypsy jazz thing to do or a jazz thing to do, but it would, you could go chromatically on either side of that note. Also sounds very flamenco. Okay. Well, my headstock's reflecting. Anyway, that's called chromatic neighboring tones. That's not really what we're talking about. But you know, anytime a note doesn't, it sounds like it needs to resolve octatones, you could probably find a good note very close, and it may not be the root, and that's fine. We could do the root of every one of these chords. So if I took this, we did this before, if I took this progression and played just the root, now, I got in trouble last time I did this. I got a copyright. Last time I did the roots over the chords, I got a copyright claim on it. And I challenged it, of course. This is what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. Well, yeah, let's see. Benny, Mr. Benny is saying, see on the fret, oh, it's always 2. I'm not sure what 2, 5, 7, 9, 12 are the markers. Oh, 2, 3. Yeah, that's pretty common. Yeah, if you're talking about the markers. Oh, what's that? Sorry. Gaelic. Oh, we're talking Gaelic. You know, it's one I'm trying to. I started to do Gaelic on my what's that called? Duolingo. I mean, I just done like 2 lessons of Gaelic. Man, it's hard to say stuff. I forget words already. Yeah, it sounds, and so. So you can do the root, but it gets a little boring. And so if you know the notes in all the chords, there's only 3 notes in each of these triads. So that can help you too, and you can resolve to any one of those notes. Well, you know will work. But like a note could be a good note and not be in the chord. Like that E sounded great over the F. So check this out. Here's the E over the A minor, sounds totally fine because it's one of the notes in the triad. That's the 7th. That's not in the F triad, and this is in the triad of the C. Here's the 7th of A. This is the 2nd of F. It's not in the triad. This is the 5th of C, so this is in the triad. And this is the root of G. It's a G note. I can just go right up the scale. It's the root of A, the third of F, the sixth of C, the second of G. It wants to. There's the second of A minor. Beautiful note. The sharp 11 or the sharp 4 of F. Major 7th of C. Woo! And then the third of the G. So one of the things you do, if you know that, like that B note is kind of a magical note, has magical properties over those first three chords, you use that to your advantage, because music is all about manipulating your audience, making them feel something, right? And whether it's tension's a feeling. So. You don't have to sit on that note. Okay, so you can just practice playing each one of the notes in that scale and over that chord progression and see, what does it feel like? Where does it feel inside? Where does it feel outside? And where does it feel wrong? Like the C works on the first three chords, great, but it doesn't feel outside over the G. It feels wrong. It wants to go somewhere, right? So it's the third of A minor, the fifth of F, it's the root of C, yeah, the B, Holly, is just magical. I mean, who used that note a lot? David Gilmour. David Gilmour used that note a lot. It's just a beautiful note. David Gilmour was a very good slow guitar player, right? He wasn't trying to impress anyone with his speed. He was always just trying to create beautiful new melodies to songs. He would take their song and there's a great band that's kind of what are they? Are they a prog rock band? I mean, I wouldn't consider them like Yes. Pink Floyd and Yes, very different bands. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I consider Emerson, Lake and Palmer and Yes very similar, but you saying something, and I mean, I could shred, but to me, it's harder to. Things happening so fast that it's harder to say something, and therefore it's harder to hear something. It's like talking to someone who doesn't stop talking. I mean, it's kind of fun, but it's not. It's it's not music necessarily. Yeah, and I guarantee you, Mr. Benny, that you probably learned more European solfege. So we talked about that the other day. Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, wits end. He's very pentatonic, but then he will grab that diatonic note that says something. And he rarely leaves the tonal center. And their songs are rarely, multi-key songs. So let's see. The Scotsman. I don't know that song. Yeah, Holly wants to hit that note a lot. I know, and you can hit it in you know. I'm changing guitar so we can take a sip, right, Gary? You know, you can hit it a lot in acoustic. You know, you can put it into voicings of chords. You know, I might do something in a rock context where I add that ninth, like, you know, do something like that. I mean, that sounds very Van Halen to me, you know. And so that you can really milk, you know, if it's a sweet tone. So that B note over each one of those chords is magical until you get to the G chord. Then it's just a plain old third. But it sounds really good because it finally you're in the pocket, you know. And it's kind of different when you play the C note over the A. It sounds very. You go to the G. There's where it wants to change. Kind of the same at the same moment that the B finally started to sound good, the C starts to sound bad. What about the D note? Let's analyze the D note in relationship to the four chords. So D is the fourth of A minor. A, B, C, D. D is the sixth of the F. F, G, A, B, C, D. Okay. D is the second of C. So that's a really interesting tone. And then G, it's the fifth. So that not so interesting, but finally nice to have a chord tone because the first three chords, A minor, F, and C, it's not one of the chord tones. The D note is actually outside of all three of their triads. So let's listen to that one, okay? Holly, you're probably going to like this. Your pinkies are cringy. Oh, okay, I'm reading Gary's joke, sorry. Oh, no. Yes, don't forget this is PG-13. Okay, let's see here. I gotta put that. There we go. So here's our A minor track. I'll go way up here so you can really hear it. See the tension? Yeah, once you go down to there. Here we're fine over the G chord. The F note over the A minor is weird. Works over the G. over the F, of course. Kind of weird over the C. Pretty weird. Kind of weird over the G. So the F is the one note that probably works the least. But I can still justify it. All right. So let's see. Well, let me see what questions we got. I'm going to stop here in a minute because I have to get some work done before my session. I got to change strings now too, on top of everything else. Psychedelic rock. Yeah, that would probably be. I think you could call Floyd psychedelic. Yeah, you could have a debate on that. Hey, Mandy Pinto. Mandy Pinto's in the house. I'll see you this weekend. Let's see. Mr. Benny. Let's see. Okay. Same notes for System of a Down. Oh, you're probably right. They like minor progressions a lot. I'm looking into hurdy-gurdies. The problem is the one I want to get's like $4,500. So I'm like, But I was watching it. I saw this one girl. She did like, look it up. You can look it up if you just enter hurdy-gurdy into YouTube. She was. Oh, let me get the Discord link too up and running. She did like 5 System of a Down licks on hurdy-gurdy. I'm like, that is really cool, and they sounded awesome. We've been watching this. I'd recommend it, but it's pretty risque. I think this show is trying to be a lot like Game of Thrones, but it's called Outlander. It takes place in Scotland. Of course, now it makes me want to go there even more. But I know the composer, and he's playing a lot of hurdy-gurdy in the show. It's just rampant. Oh wait, no, I gotta delete this. This is not right. Dang, well, I wish I could get a hurdy-gurdy for $300 or $400. I mean, the one I want to get has all the bells and whistles, even has pickups in it, because I figured I could do some serious damage with that. So I just need my composers to all just like donate something, and then. But the thing is, what I probably would do is if I'm going to buy something like that and learn it, I'm probably going to double my hourly if anybody wants me to play, because not a lot of people play hurdy-gurdy, so I probably double my hourly for that. Let's see, what am I looking for? Okay, I need a link that doesn't expire. Here we go. Do I ever think about doing a show? I mean, I play at church every weekend. Oh, is it getting rougher? Because we're still in season 1, and my wife was covering her eyes on a lot of the bloody stuff. Is pretty thoroughly done. But I'm enjoying the music a lot. I think the music is really good. Bear McCreary is a really good composer, and so I'm digging what he's doing in the show. And I have to have subtitles on because, boy, some of that I just couldn't understand half the things they're saying. We probably don't want to get discuss too much in there. But there's probably a lot of raping and pillaging coming. I'm sure of it. But I think we're on episode 14 right now of season 1. Like probably the last episode of the season. There's probably going to be a big... somebody who shouldn't die is probably going to die. That's what the Game of Thrones was really good at doing. They were killing off people you thought were going to be there the entire run of the show. In fact, I have a friend who was a king in it. Gethin Anthony was one of the kings, and I ended up teaching him. I coached him. We for a TV show. We became friends. He was playing. I told you about this. He was playing. I was coaching him. He was playing Charles Manson, and he was in makeup and character and everything. And I went to his trailer and we're working on this guitar thing. and we're playing it together. I'm getting, you know, the strumming down and everything. We're getting it down, and then he goes, okay, let me try it by myself. And he goes, tell me how I do. And I'm watching him, and he is literally getting into the character. He's a very, very good actor, and he's getting into the character of Charles Manson, and he literally made the hairs on the back of my neck. I never experienced something like that before. It's like literally, I felt the hairs on my back of my neck straightening, and I'm like, oh my gosh, dude. Okay, so next, I will try to remember. Let me write down Akatones. I don't know if he's still here, but I will try to remember to talk about the chord progression. There may be some kind of instructive thing. I don't have a pencil. Oh, here we go. Where am I going to put it, though, that I'll see it? Sweet music. I'll try to remember to listen to sweet music and see what the chords are. Because again, of Roadmaster songs, obscure Indiana band, Roadmaster songs, sweet music is probably one of the more prog type songs. So, hey, Jay Baker, sorry. Well, it's interesting. I don't know. That's a good question, Jay. I know that it was the contact that he had, and he actually had a record deal in Los Angeles. The contact he had was indeed producers for the Beach Boys, or people connected to the Beach Boys. Oh, okay, yeah. The books probably are going to be a little bit less. They might be graphic, but you're not looking at it. So yeah, I don't know. I may have to watch ahead or something for Beth, so she doesn't. Because yeah, she's like doing this a lot. So, but if it's also stressful on top of that, it's like, yeah, the torturing stuff too is also, that's something that I don't like. And the whipping, man, those whipping scenes were brutal. Gosh, I mean, the flesh is falling off his back. It's like, holy cow. Yeah, I'm glad I live when I live. I keep expecting someone though from. I don't want to give away the premise of the show is time travel essentially. It happens in the first episode, so I'm not really giving anything away. And I love time travel stuff, but I love time travel type movies. I love Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies. This is no Back to the Future. And I keep expecting someone from like 2250 to show up, It's like someone from the future after the show was created to show up and, try to fix stuff or something. I don't know. It's just going to be funny. But okay. All right, everybody, I'm going to take off because I got to change strings on a guitar. And I am going to, I will see you on Monday, and we will continue talking about soloing, I think. And we, right now we're just kind of more conceptual, all right? Big picture type things about soloing, which is a little bit harder to apply. I understand that you want to learn a bunch of licks, but then you would just be soloing in my mode, you know what I mean? And I would be, you'd be just a bunch of mini toms, and the world doesn't need any more. So, yes, enjoy your weekend. I'm working all weekend. I've got more work than I know what to do with, but I will get through, and hopefully I'll be done with it all on Monday morning. That would be awesome. If I see you again and I've finished everything, I'll be pretty relaxed and probably planning on taking the rest of the day off after our time together, but we'll see. Maybe I'll go to the beach. It's supposed to be 90, I think, on Monday. So, okay, I will talk to you later. God bless you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. And then, feel free to share my channel on, places people, different Facebook pages or whatever. Happy to get new people coming in. I see you all the time. Hey, Rick, good to see you. Let's see, anybody else? B Kitty, I saw you. Good to see you again. It's been a while. Anyway, God bless you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.